I beg to move that this House do now adjourn.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. Paulette Hamilton.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Before starting this debate, I'd like to declare an interest. The organisation I will be talking about, I actually chair the organisation, but I absolutely get no remuneration for chairing the organisation in my constituency. It is a privilege to speak on behalf of my constituents in Birmingham Erdington, communities that are filled with untapped potential. My constituency ranks amongst the top 5 most deprived areas in the country, with an unemployment rate of around twice the national average. Sadly, we fall well below the national average of functional literacy, ranking 47th lowest out of 533 constituencies in England last year. This stark reality creates major barriers for my constituents. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am proud to say we have not stood by idly. Instead, in the face of adversity, our community came together to take a decisive action to shape our future. In 2020, in response to the economic fallout from the COVID pandemic, North Birmingham Economic Recovery Board was formed. This vibrant and dynamic board is administered by the Whitton Lodge Community Association, and I have had the honour of serving as its chair since March 2022. Driven by the collaborative action, we are ambitious, maximising economic opportunities and supporting thousands of residents into training and employment. This board brings together around 25 organisations, including the local authority, combined authority, local and national businesses, community groups and third sector organisations to deliver skills training and employment opportunities to residents of North Birmingham, particularly for those facing the greatest barriers and exclusion. From the beginning, it was vital to include businesses of all sizes, social enterprises, to ensure local residents could access and benefit from significant business opportunities. I give way. Thank you.
Jim Shannon.
Madam Deputy Chair, I spoke to the Honourable Lady for Birmingham and Erdington beforehand, and I commend her for her initiative in her constituency, and I think her constituents be immensely proud of the efforts she's made. And my constituency, we've done something similar. It's a Scrabble residents group. Again, it's an area of disadvantage where people have not got the opportunities. And what they have done as a community group and organisation is to give jobs in security, jobs in HGV drivers, as 2 examples. Before they had no jobs, now they have an opportunity of jobs. And like the Honourable Lady, it's the initiative within the community that has made it happen.
Paulette Hamilton.
I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for his contribution this afternoon, and thank you for sharing with us what his constituents are doing. Madam Deputy Speaker, the results speak for themselves. To date, we have secured over 15 million in investment, supported 8,000 residents, 2/3 of whom are aged between 24 and 49, and helped over 1,000 people into work. We have enrolled 1,500 residents to gateway courses, linking them to jobs, and supported major employment with recruitment drives like Amazon at their Pedimore site. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, that doesn't stop there. Whitton Lodge Community Association hosts regular skills workshops and jobs fairs in North Birmingham, such as the recent event at St Barnabas Church in Erdington just 2 weeks ago, connecting hundreds of local jobs and skills with over 25 diverse employers. The board is working with companies like Alfred's to develop bespoke apprenticeships packages, ensuring young people and adults can access high-quality training and job opportunities. None of this would be possible without the dedication of our partner organisations like BMET College, IM Properties, the Pioneer Group and Whitton Lodge Community Association.
Would my honourable friend give way?
I give way to the honourable gentleman.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and I'm really pleased you've brought this debate about the voluntary sector and the role they play in supporting people into education, training and employment. In my own constituency of Stoke-on-Trent North and Kisgrave, we have some really good examples, whether it's the YES Youth Employment and Skills Service, the Shell Area Family Action Group and the Coalfields Regeneration Trust, who play a vital role. Would my honourable friend agree with me that as this government moves forward with plans to support young people into training and on into employment, that the government would be wise to look at the role the voluntary sector plays in local communities?
The honourable gentleman raises a valuable point, and I absolutely agree with what you've said. Thank you. Their commitment has been the driving force to our shared vision, and I want to take this opportunity to pay tribute to them. I'm sure the Minister will join me as I extend my heartfelt thanks. However, Madam Deputy Speaker, progress does not come without its challenges.
Give way. I can take intervention.
To the honourable gentleman.
I do thank my honourable friend, and she's focused on the benefits of partnerships, which she agrees employability partnerships led by third sector organisations have been shown to be more successful than traditional approaches to employability support because they involve organisations with a wide range of expertise. And similarly in Scotland we have all-in partnerships led by the disability charity Enable, who I used to work for, and Fife Gingerbread in my constituency, who works very successfully in partnership with other organisations to deliver employability support to lone parents.
Paulette Hamilton.
Can I thank the honourable gentleman for his contribution? I absolutely agree with what you've said. It is so important for us to work together to ensure that we get what we need for our local communities.
Friend give way.
Go on. I give way to the honourable
Rachel Maskell.
I'm really grateful to my honourable friend for bringing this debate forward. It's often small organisations which can have the most impact, like Chocolate & Co. in York, which is taking people out of the criminal justice system and people who have had a life of addiction and turning their lives around with employment. However, it does cost money. So does she agree with me that we need to see a long-term cost-benefit analysis as to what these organisations can bring and to ensure that they get the funding they need to transform these people's lives?
Paulette Hamilton.
The honourable lady raises an absolutely valuable point. We can't do anything without money, so we have to ensure that the funding is there to support these organisations to deliver what we need in our local communities. And I will continue. And the challenges we face in Erdington and North Birmingham are certainly not unique. The UK has long grappled with the skills shortages that holds back economic growth. According to the Department of Education, skills shortages have doubled between 2017 and 2022 to more than 500,000, now accounting for 36% of job vacancies. Madam Deputy Speaker, this is a national crisis that demands a national response. That's why I was encouraged by the Labour government's announcement of Skills England last year. This initiative, which brings together stakeholders to meet the skills needs of the future, is exactly the kind of bold, collective approach we need. By creating a more integrated and responsive training system, Skills England will provide new opportunities for young people and support businesses in building a skilled workforce. I'll give way to the honourable gentleman.
We're into just.
Honourable friend giving way. In Wolverhampton, we have the Wolves at Work programme, which is coordinated by the City of Wolverhampton Council, but it involves partnership working with local employers and partner organisations. And the programme provides one-to-one support to highly skilled professionals and also those with no experience at all, so that they can get jobs or they can advance their careers. And they also provide assistance to employers. Does my honourable friend agree that we need collaborative working with local authorities also being involved, and with it goes investment for authorities as well?
Paulette Hamilton.
I'd like to thank my honourable friend for his intervention. Absolutely right. We absolutely need collaboration. It won't work if you work in isolation. And I will continue. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, there is always room for improvement. I firmly believe that the government should look at the success of place-based partnerships and professional support as demonstrated by the North Birmingham Economic Recovery Board. I would urge the Minister to consider this approach as a potential model for national policy. Madam Deputy Speaker, earlier... I will give way to the Honourable Lady.
Thank you.
Alison Taylor.
I thank the Honourable Lady for bringing this debate to the House. Would the Honourable Lady agree that the third sector has to be taken into account when we're developing economic strategies? For example, in Scotland, 135,000 people are employed in the third sector in comparison to life sciences, which only employ 40,000 people, and they get a lot of public sector and university funding to achieve that. And can I just mention to the Honourable Lady, in my own seat, Aberlour Children's Charity employ 94 people directly, but they support a much larger voluntary network.
Paulette Hamilton.
I'd like to thank the Honourable Lady and her contribution. Everybody's heard it. Absolutely agree with what you're saying. I will press on. Okay, Madam Deputy Speaker, earlier this year, I was delighted to welcome the Honourable Member for Birkenhead in her role as Minister of the Department of Work and Pensions to my constituency in Birmingham, Erdington. During her visit, we saw the impact of personalised assistance and wrapped-round support. At the Whitton Lodge Community Association, we heard from young people and local partners about their shared experiences and ideas for expanding opportunities. At Erdington Job Centre, we met with dedicated work coaches who... Can I press on for 2 more minutes and then I will let you in? Sorry. At Erdington Job Centre, we met with dedicated work coaches who are helping residents achieve their goals. But we also heard about the challenges with residents waiting for over 3 years to access English language courses, limiting their ability to find work. Others making 2-hour journeys, catching 3 buses for a 15-minute appointment, only to face harsh sanctions for being a few minutes late, regardless of their circumstances. And I will allow the Honourable Lady to come back.
Thank you. I want to thank the Honourable Friend for Birmingham Erdington for securing this really important debate. I wanted to pay tribute to our local job centres, particularly my constituency of North West Leicestershire, who are working tirelessly alongside local employers, the voluntary and the community sector to ensure my constituents are equipped to enter the workforce. Does she agree with me that this support, delivered in partnership for our young people, will help them to prepare for the world of work?
Paulette Hamilton.
The Honourable Lady makes an absolutely critical point. It is so vital to support people. If you want to see people grow, you have to give them the support they need. I would not have got to Parliament without the support I received earlier on in my life. So thank you for that contribution. These stories are not unique to the Birmingham Erdington constituency. Many in this chamber will no doubt have their own stories to tell from their own constituencies. So I would urge the Minister to consider the need for greater compassion and a flexibility approach to employment support. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is clear that a one-size-fits-all approach simply does not work. Each community is unique and requires its own tailored support. We must get rigid structures limited. We must not let rigid structures limit the full potential of initiatives that are already achieving extraordinary things in communities like mine. That is why I urge the government to take a deep look at how the Department of Work and Pensions operates across the country in incorporating local variables and using the expertise of the third sector. We can address the skills gap to help people into employment. The work...
Will my honourable friend give way?
I will absolutely give way to the lovely honourable gentleman.
I thank the honourable member for giving way. Watford Workshop in my constituency does incredible work offering employment to disabled people and those with learning disabilities and supporting local business in the constituency and the wider region. Does my honourable friend agree with me that the community and third sector organisations offer particularly invaluable work to disabled people, seeking not just employment but focus and meaning?
Paulette Hamilton.
The honourable gentleman again raises a valuable point, because communities working together with people makes a difference, and it is absolutely vital that we encourage this. But not only that, as leaders, we absolutely press government to support us to make this happen. Now, I go back to the work we are doing in Erdington and North Birmingham is a testament to the power of a community of people working together, determined to make a difference. It's a reminder that politics at its core is about helping each other, being there for one another and creating opportunities for everyone. This is what I believed when I first became a councillor 21 years ago, and it's what I believe today as an MP. Helping people flourish in the world of work is not just an economic necessity, it's a moral imperative. It's how we build a brighter future for all. I look forward to hearing from the Minister about the points I have raised. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Minister, Alison McGovern.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I would like to begin by thanking and paying tribute to the member for Birmingham Erdington, my friend who has brought this debate to us this evening, and I think that all members will agree that her passion and her commitment to her constituency and to this subject shines through. And I can only say, Madam Deputy Speaker, what an absolute honour it was to visit her constituency to discuss the work of the North Birmingham Economic Recovery Board. And I just want to, I'll come to the situation in Birmingham and the approach that she recommends the government taking shortly. But in those remarks at the end of her speech on the purpose of politics and the role that we all must play in giving everybody a chance and an opportunity in our society, I hope that that is something that would be supported across the House, but she makes the case for that approach very well. So, to Birmingham, this debate is important for many reasons, but not least because some parts of our country suffer much worse than others with poor employment outcomes. The government is committed to our ambition to moving towards a goal of an 80% employment rate. But some places, Madam Deputy Speaker, in our country are already there. We know that there are some parts of our country that are already at an 80% employment rate. Unfortunately, that is not so in Birmingham, where the employment rate is just around 66%. And that's not acceptable, because when some parts of our country fall behind economically, it's bad for those places and it's bad for us all, because it means that some people in our country are not able to play their full role in our economic growth. Economic inactivity is also higher than average, and that's why our reform plans take a different approach, no longer doing the same thing everywhere, but trying to tailor and personalise our employment support much more to the place where people are, bringing our support to them and trying to tailor that support to what they need. I will give way.
Richard Baker.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Will the Minister agree that one of the challenges around previous models of employability support is they haven't been tailored? They haven't actually met the needs of people for sustained support in that employment, and that one of the benefits that my honourable friend has outlined in this debate is that third sector partnerships, which bring together organisations with great expertise in certain areas in a consortium model, provides the best opportunity for a one-stop shop for people to get the employability they support, tailored support, which will help sustain them in employment as well as help them find them that job in the first place.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I thank my honourable friend for that intervention. Of course, he's right, and when I was in Erdington, I met with the college, with my colleagues from DWP, with Whitton Lodge and other community partners. And it's through bringing those people together around a common goal that I think we can really change the fortunes of a place. And as I'll explain in a moment, that approach is really knitted into what we set out in the white paper in November. But first, I do just want to mention, Madam Deputy Speaker, my DWP colleague, Lucy Divers, who's worked as part of the North Birmingham Economic Recovery Board to bring DWP right to the heart of this local community approach. And I think that that is the right way to have a partnership of people who can bring their different expertise to tackling ingrained problems of economic disadvantage and of unemployment. And I met with colleagues there in Erdington, and we talked through the various challenges. I was struck by the importance of skills and addressing the skills deficit, but also making sure that young people, and Birmingham is quite a young city, making sure that young people have access to the best possible jobs. So I just want to mention a few ways in which the government has redesigned employment support to try to bring this new localised approach to enable us to work with community and third sector partners better. So the last Parliament saw the biggest increase in economic inactivity in nearly 40 years. We remain the only G7 country with a higher rate of economic inactivity now than before the pandemic. We've got a near record 2.8 million people out of work due to long-term sickness, and tragically, almost 1 million young people not in education, employment or training, and many more stuck in low-paid work. This is an absolute crisis. I would argue, Madam Deputy Speaker, it is the biggest unemployment crisis in our generation. So we know that we have to learn the lessons of the failures of the past 14 years. We cannot keep going in the same direction. We needed to change course. And for me, that is localising our services. So we pay attention to the specific features of each place where we are trying to help. And that's why...
Just very briefly allow
yes,
to
of course.
David Williams.
Thank you. Just on the point about localised services, what we saw under programmes like the Work programme of years gone by, they had very big, what they call contract package areas, where they moved towards nationalised models, and a lot of the voluntary sector groups would describe themselves as big candy. They were included in as subcontractor partners, but they didn't feel they really had any ownership of how the services were delivered on the ground. Would my honourable friend agree with me that we need to move away from that model to understand what local community groups can do so they can really play the part because they are rooted in local communities?
Esther.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I think it's testament to the importance of this issue and to how strongly members feel about tackling unemployment in their own constituencies and working across community groups and within partnership that so many members have stayed for the adjournment to bring detailed points, as my honourable friend just did, on a matter that in some constituencies is the biggest challenge. So I thank him for bringing that expertise, and I hope that we can continue this conversation as we move forward with our change programme in DWP. As I was saying, the challenge is great. We need a totally different approach, and we need much more local collaboration. And that's why our Get Britain Working plan sets out 3 major reforms, creating a new jobs and careers service that will test and trial and develop different ways of working to get much closer to communities. We're already seeing work coaches taking their role out into communities to connect with people where they are, using the expertise of local community groups. We've also set up a number of trailblazers, including in the West Midlands, to try to work differently with young people and people who are out of work because of ill health reasons, to work collaboratively with the NHS and other organisations to get the support people need to get back into work and to develop their talents and to take up the opportunities that are on offer. Now, I know that we will not do this without better support for employers. And it was one of the reasons why I was so heartened to have the conversation in Erdington about the different employers and opportunities that there are in Birmingham and across the West Midlands, and how we can make sure that DWP plays its role properly to serve employers better and to get the best quality roles into job centres and available to those people who might otherwise be overlooked. It's been a crucial part of the North Birmingham Economic Recovery Board as I learned about it, and I think it's a great example of how local leaders can take action working with employers to really get to the heart of unemployment and inequality. I did just want to respond to one point that my friend, the member for York, mentioned about enabling community groups and third sector organisations to test the efficacy of their work. And coming from a great social research city of York, nobody better to make this point. At the DWP, we have the Employment Data Lab, where organisations can use that resource to establish the effectiveness of their employment programme. And I would encourage all of those organisations in the third sector, in charities and beyond, to work with us to really get to the heart of how we can effectively support people into work and into better work. I will do, just briefly.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm really encouraged by the collaborative approach that the Minister is describing, and business and the third sector have both demonstrated the power in an approach that just involves beginning, focusing around the person, the end user, and then iterating rapidly. That responsive, dynamic, that agile approach is really effective. And I'd like to know whether the Minister agrees with me that this is the approach we need to be adopting more and more as government as we try and address these big challenges. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I thank my honourable friend there for his intervention. I think he was describing the approach that the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster has recommended to us all in testing and trialling things quickly and reviewing what works and what doesn't work and trying to change quickly rather than setting out a huge great plan that takes years to develop to try to respond swiftly. And I would say that is an approach that DWP is trying to model now. Only this morning I was in Bolton, Madam Deputy Speaker, with some work coaches who developed a job centre on wheels, a van that we can take out to communities, and they've done it pretty swiftly, and they're trying to work out, as he describes, what works there on the ground so that they can feed back to us. I'll conclude now, Madam Deputy Speaker, because otherwise I fear that everybody who stayed, we could probably all collectively speak about this for about 3 hours uninterrupted. So we'd better not do that. But I just want to finish by saying how important it is that we've had this debate this evening. The Get Britain Working plan sets out the requirement for all places to have a Get Britain Working plan for themselves so that they can work out where their employment challenges are and work collectively to improve it. Everywhere in our country must have a plan for growth. And our reforms nationally are in the spirit of the local action that we have seen in the North Birmingham area. Economic growth needs us all to pull together, and we know that when we do so, the benefits will be widely spread.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many as are that opinion say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Order, order.